In Aaron Trusty, we trust. But which other Celtic players could be trusted tonight? Well, we're going to find out right here, right now, as we rank all the Celtic players for their 0-0 draw over Atalanta. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. It was a good point for Celtic tonight in the Champions League, a point that not many people expected them to get, but they dug in, they defended well, they fought hard, and after 94 minutes, they were awarded a point, rewarded with a point, and yeah, it's a point that could potentially get them into the next round of the Champions League.
Absolutely. I think it has. You know, you look at the favourable home ties to come, and also away to Dinamo Zagreb, which you would fancy them in. It's a massive point.
Well, 10 points will reportedly be enough. At the moment, it's kind of hard to tell whether that's true or not, but we've seen the number 10 being floated about, and if that is the case, then Celtic are only 2 more wins away from the next round. And with the fixtures that they have remaining, I'd say that 6 points is very possible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not joking. Like, I think tonight got them through. Now, obviously, you've got to see you've got to see the teams off that are in front of you, but I think not to go through at this stage would be majorly disappointing for them.
Would it be a failure?
I think so, yeah. I do.
Well, with that said, let's just get into it.
I think you've got to look at the first 3 games. It's like, yeah, I mean, Slovan Bratislava, you had to win, right? You did that. All right, you got scudded by...
I gave Brendan Rodgers a 10, by the way.
You did. But...
You didn't, but I did.
I gave him an 8 or something.
Right.
Anyway, point is, I think looking at the first 3 games, I think picking up 4 points is very good. Obviously, getting scudded by Dortmund is a disaster. But see if Celtic go through, that Dortmund game will quickly be forgotten about.
I agree. I think Celtic fans would have took
especially considering Rodgers changed it and he got it right. You know, it'll be an abnormality. You know what I mean?
A what?
One of the
Aye, that thing. Anyway.
A pizzeria.
Aye, right, well, let's just move on here, because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
It's a Malay.
But I know what I'm talking about. It is Celtic, it is Schmeichel, Johnston, Trusty, Scales, Fillet, McGregor, Hatate, Engels, Kuhn, Maida, and Ida. That was the 11 players that started. We'll start with the goalkeeper, big Kasper Schmeichel. Some people saying he's already better than Peter. Don't know if that's true or not. I prefer Peter, but Kasper Schmeichel, he's a good goalkeeper. He's doing his father proud.
I rate Kasper Schmeichel, right? But could he... I just think he's... I mean, he was at Leicester. He was at Falkirk many moons ago. He was at Celtic. He was at Nice. Well, he's at Celtic. I mean, I've seen a lot of Peter Schmeichel. Like, I'm not going to... But...
You've seen a lot of Peter Schmeichel?
I've seen the clips, mate. That's my point. Alright? I don't think Peter Schmeichel was the greatest goalie of all time. He's up there, but I do think he's overrated.
You think Kasper's better?
No, I don't think Kasper's better, but I don't think the chasm is quite as big as we might think. You get me?
I think you're the only person I've ever heard say Peter Schmeichel wasn't great.
No.
Or he wasn't one of the greatest.
I said I don't think he's the greatest of all time. He's up there, but I don't think he's the greatest.
Fair enough.
No, I actually think, like, recently, out of all the positions in football, I actually think, like, maybe, like, the last decade, the last 15 years have probably created the better goalies.
Name some.
I think Jan Oblak is, like, fucking mental. Manuel Neuer, right? You've got prime David De Gea. I know he went off the boil a few years, right? But see that, I remember that game against Arsenal at the Emirates.
See if you told Roy Keane that De Gea is better than Schmeichel, he'd probably smack you, like.
No, he probably would. But I'm just saying, alright? Alisson for Liverpool I think is really good as well.
Well, you don't think that Peter Schmeichel was the greatest of all time, but
all I'm saying
how great was Kasper Schmeichel tonight?
Do you agree though? I don't think the gap between father and son's that big. I don't.
No, it's probably the smallest gap between sons. I mean, you look at Zidane, you look at his sons.
Oh, I will.
Fucking woeful.
His sons is a goalie.
Aye, anyway, right, Peter Schmeichel, Kasper Schmeichel,
I'll give him a 6 out of 10. He didn't have a lot to do, and I think all the saves were basic.
6 out of 10?
Aye.
Clean sheet tonight. You're giving him a 6 out of 10.
I don't think he had a lot to do.
Yeah, in the chat, people will bash me and they'll praise you.
Oh, well, they can do that if they want.
Right, well,
They're scared of me. Alright?
I'm going to give Kasper Schmeichel an 8 tonight.
Fucking 8?
Aye, Commander is...
Right, Jambo boy.
You can't win. You can't fucking win. 1 minute I'm a Hun, next minute I'm a Tague. Oh, you're a Jambo Don. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. I'm giving him an 8. I thought he...
We've got you on the fucking ropes.
No one's got me on the ropes, right?
Right.
I was born on the ropes. Anyway, I'm getting Kasper an 8. Thought he commanded his box well, made some good saves, looked comfortable the entire night, came out, caught crosses, done what he was meant to do. So therefore, and it's a clean sheet away from home. Right, I agree. He didn't have spectacular save after save to make, but I think Celtic were great defensively tonight, and that starts with the goalkeeper.
I'm not saying he was
you
bad.
factor in some good saves as well. I don't think there was a world-class save. I'd go as far as saying there wasn't even a great save. But I think overall, he was really good on the night, and I'm going to give him an 8. You're giving him a 6, so that's a 7.
I think the goalkeeping possession is one of those possessions where you can get a 5 or a 6, and you might not actually have done anything wrong, and that's what he did. I thought he was good, but I don't think he had to do an awful lot. I think a lot of Atalanta's shots were straight at him, or they were ballooned wide.
Right, so can we just confirm Big Stevie Cools gave Schmeichel a 6, the Celtic haters gave Schmeichel an 8, but guys, bring the hate. Bring it. I gave him an 8, but bring me the hate. Right, let's go into...
John Cena says, rise above the hate, yeah?
Rise above the hate. Right, let's go into... I was going to say Adam Johnson now. Jesus. It's not Adam Johnson.
There's a joke to be made there, but we'll move on.
I'm forgetting his first name.
Okay. Alistair, mate.
Alistair, that's the one. Alistair Johnston. I am going to give him... I'll give him a 7. Thought he was not great in the first half. Sappacosta was getting crosses in, causing him a lot of problems. But second half, I think he improved, and he also kept a clean sheet. He was part of a defence that kept a clean sheet against a good Atalanta side. So, I mean, I'll give him a 7. I thought maybe he was the weakest player, though, out of the back four.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6. I thought he was the weakest.
So it's a 6.5 for Johnston.
Up next, we've got Trusty. I'll give him an 8.
I'll give Trusty an 8 as well. Really good performance tonight. I trust him. I mean, tempted to give him a 9, actually.
You can do that, mate. Jambo boy, go ahead.
I'm going to give Trusty a 9, so I'll be an 8.5. I thought he was the better of the two centre, and that's not saying that Scales was crap.
Scales not get man of the match.
Yeah, maybe he did, but you know what? I'm giving it. I thought Trusty was the slightly better out of the two, and I also felt it was a bigger game for Trusty because I feel that he's the one that's going to get the blame.
Yeah.
If Celtic get pumped, the likelihood is, Scales will be the one that partners Vickers when Vickers comes back, and it's going to be, when Vickers goes out, Trusty comes in, and Trusty's the one that's shite. And that's the problem you've got when you're the third choice centre-back. It's like, as soon as the first choice goes out, you're coming in, and all of a sudden, the centre-back pairing gets a lot weaker, but you're the one getting the blame because you're the new guy in it. So Trusty's going to get more blame than Scales when Vicker goes out.
No, I agree.
So I thought it was a bigger night for Trusty, and I thought he was fantastic. Anything that came in the box, he was head on it away. I can't give him a perfect score because, I mean, he did allow Palisic to hit. Well, not him necessarily, but Palisic was allowed 2 clear headers in the first half, and had he got them right, I mean, it could have been a different night, but it wasn't.
Absolutely. I'll give Liam Scales, though, moving on. I'll give him an 8.
I'll give him an 8 as well.
Great again.
Great. Scales and Trusty. Good partnership there. So, I mean,
right.
We heard how they were missing Carter Vickers, and people said, Carter Vickers, that's why we lost 7-1. I think Celtic would have lost 7-1 to Dortmund with Vickers, to be honest. It was just a bad night at the office, and I think pretty much the entire team played bad that night in Dortmund. Unlike tonight, where the entire team, I think, played pretty good. Some played great.
I agree. But moving on to Fally, I'll give him a 7. He was alright.
I'll give Fally a 7 as well.
Greg Taylor wasn't missed tonight, and that's credit to him.
Looked very good defensively, done his job. I mean, didn't get that much to do going forward, but again, you don't really expect that when you're playing a team like Atalanta in the Champions League.
I actually think, I know it's a pretty obvious thing to say, right? I think Celtic's defence pretty much single-handedly won them the game.
Well, I would for me, Celtic's defence was the better players tonight were in the
Like,
defence because.
I'm not saying the front six didn't, contribute.
Well, we'll
But
get on to that in a minute. Like, but I mean, I don't have a lot of positive stuff to say about the front six. For me, I can give them solid ratings, but I don't think anyone stood out as great tonight.
No, I agree. And here, I think when you have a 0-0 and you're defensively brilliant, the defence is going to get all the plaudits. But we'll move on to the midfield. Right, Cal McGregor. Here, thought he was all right, but
It's a 6 for me. I'll give him a 6 for being. He got a draw away. He captained his team to a draw away from home.
I'll give him a 6 as well. There was a lot of mistakes, but you know what? There was a lot of times where he was the one that broke through, the Atalanta press, and he would set them on the counter attack, and then someone else would fuck it up. So I'll give him a 6.
A 6 in the middle. So there we go. Moving on to Rio Hatate.
Stinker.
Passenger. Absolute passenger in the game.
Got subbed off, gave the ball away quite a lot. He did a few things right, but I think I just like the front six for me. It's like any time the defence got rid of it, or McGregor or whatever, they just gave it straight back to Atalanta, especially in the first half. I feel. I think it was fit, and I think Hatate was one of the more guilty guys of that. So I'm going to give him a 4.
I'll give him a 5. I don't think the front six were that. It's not that they were awful. I just don't think they had enough to do. They never got on the ball enough. They were just basically holding shape.
But them
and dropping back and trying to prevent
them being awful though when you set up defensively won't impact you if they're being awful when you set up attackingly against Dortmund.
Like I'm not. Yeah, I don't think the front six were overly. I don't think they were bad, so to speak. I just don't think they never contributed enough because Celtic didn't get on the ball enough.
Yeah.
And when Celtic play the way they played tonight, the defensive players are going to stand out more.
Right, Engels again. I think he had another poor game.
I mean, all these people jumping the bandwagon saying he's better than O'Reilly. Those comments are coming back.
He's not washed, right, and he's not finished by any means. But I think you would expect your £11 million man to like step up the task in one of these Champions League games that ain't against Slovan Bratislava.
Yeah, and even then, I thought the entire team played well against Slovan Bratislava. It's not like he was a step above everyone else.
Yeah.
But in the two games where you maybe expect him to be a step above everyone else, he hasn't been. Dortmund and Atalanta, he's arguably been one of the worst players on the pitch in both of them.
He had a decent shot tonight, but I'm not going to go down the route of praising someone for a Singletary shot, you know what I mean? So I'll give him a 4.
A what shot?
A Singletary shot.
Solitary shot?
Solitary, that's something.
What are you giving him?
4.
I'll give him a 5.
It's 2:30 in the morning, man. I'm dead.
I think you're being a wee bit harsh here with these ratings, Big Stevie. Cool.
Nah,
Big Stevie Celtic 1888.
Up until to Rilan.
Right, Nicholas Kuhn up next. Thoughts on him? Thought he was better in the second half than he was the first half.
I'll give him a 6. Thought he was alright.
6 for
Ran
Kuhn.
a bit.
He did run a bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm giving him a 5, so it's a 5.5.
Oh, that's not like you, Jambo boy.
Right, Dyson Maida.
Again, ran a bit. I'll give him a 6. I think these two and McGregor were like the ones in the front six that actually contributed. I feel like the other 3 didn't really.
I'll give Dyson Maida a 6. I thought he was the better out of the wide men.
Yep. Right, up next we've got Adea. Right, I actually think this was necessary. I think considering you're playing defensive like this, it suits playing Adea, starting him, because you're against a physical team, and also against a tiring team, you would prefer Kyogo, and that's exactly what they got. But I don't think Adea was good.
I don't think he is good at all. I've had my say on Adea.
I'll give him a 5.
I'll give him a 5. Just there.
Aye.
I literally don't. People are saying he held the ball up well and stuff like. I don't think he did. To be honest, he didn't impress me tonight.
No. I mean, I don't think it was awful, but you would expect a wee bit more.
Yeah,
there was a lot of times Celtic countered and he wasn't a part of it, and it's like, what's he doing then? He's back defending. I get he has to do that, like, but nah, we'll move on. Right, Furuhashi, come on. I thought he
looked lively. I thought he looked good in the last 20 minutes.
Forced a good save.
I'm considering how much time he was given. I'm going to give Furuhashi a 7.
Yep.
What are you giving him?
I'll give him a 7 as well.
A 7. Because he only had 20 minutes, but for me, he looked a lot more dangerous in the 20 minutes than Ida did in 70 minutes. Now, you could factor in that, yes, he was up against a tiring defence and an Atalanta side that was pushing forward at that point, but for me, he just made a bigger impact, so I'm giving him a 7.
I agree, right?
Bernardo.
I'll give him
But you know what? I also agree that if Furuhashi started, he'd have probably been sitting on a 5.
Yes.
But I'm not. The difference is, I think if Ida comes on with 20 minutes to go, I'm not giving Ida a 7.
Yeah. Because he won't run about. Like Kyogo, right? I'm going to give Bernardo a 6.
You thought he was better than...
I think he was, yeah.
I'll give him a 5. Didn't think he... No.
Right, Luis Palma, amigo.
Right, Palma. I don't know what his Celtic future holds, but I'm not convinced.
He's a flop, it is what it is.
Yeah. How much did he cost again?
Only like 3.5 million.
That's not too bad then.
I'll give him a...
It's a downgrade on mine, isn't he? Like, it's just
I'll give him a 5.
I'll give him a 5. Luke McCowan, I thought he was...
Alright.
Just quiet, wasn't he?
Yeah, I like it quiet. 5.
5. And Forrest came on, in my eyes, didn't have enough time to do anything. I'm going to give him a 5.
Yeah.
Right, we move on to Brendan Rodgers. I believe my 2 scores for Rodgers have been a 10 and a 2.
Yeah.
In the Champions League so far, so maybe this isn't a surprise, no spoiler here, but I'm going to put him somewhere in the middle of that.
I'm going to give him a 7. You know why? Because I think you're kidding yourself, man, if you think Rodgers deserves a 9 or a 10 for this.
Well, I'm not giving him a 9 or a 10, but I do plan on... I was going to give him higher than a 7. I'm going to give him an 8. I thought it was a good draw away from home, and he's changed his ways.
It was,
and
but
I got to give him credit for that, because he said he wasn't going to change, and then he did change. So I don't know if it was mind games in the build-up or whatnot.
Yeah, but my logic is, right, I think getting a 0-0 draw away to Atalanta is actually better in some ways than beating Slovan Bratislava 5-1. So that's why I'm giving him a similar rating to what I gave him that night. But at the same time, I don't think drawing 0-0 away to Atalanta is worthy of a 10. Because I don't view Atalanta...
I don't think any of us are saying it should be a 10.
No, but there is some people out there that'll be like, how are you giving him a 7? I don't think drawing 0-0 away to Atalanta, right, is worthy of a 9 or a 10. Because I don't really view Atalanta... They're a great team, don't get me wrong, right? They're a top team in Serie A, but they're not the cream of the crop. I mean, Dortmund, who are closer to the cream of the crop, just got fucking scudded by the cream of the crop. You know what I mean? There's levels to this.
Yeah, there's levels to this, 100%.
So I'm going to give him a 7.
How good are Atalanta? If we could rank them based on European teams that we've seen this season, let's say, for example, I don't want to throw them out there, but let's just go with Leon. Are Atalanta on par with Leon? Are they a bit better? Are they a bit worse?
I would say are
they similar?
They're similar. I feel like Leon have much more pace in their team. Atalanta have Lookman, but I feel it's a tough one. Leon looked really good against Rangers, but that's against Rangers, and they haven't had a good start to League One. Atalanta have been consistent for like the past 6 years, so I'd probably give Atalanta the nod, but I would say they're quite similar. I mean, Leon spent 150 million in the summer.
So for all the teams that we've seen compete so far, what order have you got it?
Like, across all the competitions?
Aye, but against Scottish teams, so
I would say...
Is it Dortmund, Atalanta, Leon?
I'd say Dortmund, Atalanta, Leon, Malmo, Minsk.
What about Shakhtar Donetsk, were they? No, wait, Dynamo Kiev.
No, but you know what? Like, honestly, see between Dortmund, Atalanta, and Leon, I don't think there's these gaps that people are pretending. Just because there's a wee hint of orange through one competition and one's got a bit of blue doesn't mean that the fucking levels are that much worse.
Put it this way, I think you could easily see Atalanta and Dortmund playing in the Europa League, and Leon could easily be a Champions League team.
Yeah.
Especially in this new format.
No, absolutely.
But anyway, I think it was a good result for Brendan Rodgers. I'm going to give him an 8. So therefore it's a 7.5. You're giving him a 5, I'm giving him a 7. At Atlanta, I thought they would have been... See, I don't know if it's because Celtic were good tonight, really good, but I was a bit disappointed. I thought Atlanta would be better than this. Like I said, I think the Celtic defence was really good, but it's not It's not even like Schmeichel had to make great saves to keep Celtic in the game.
They're not as good as Dortmund, right? Because you know why? I think Dortmund playing against this low block for Celtic still would have scored a few goals. Atalanta were ballooning quite a few chances, despite how good Celtic were. You know, like, Dortmund were hitting fucking shots, man, into the bottom left corner, top right, top left. Schmeichel's just fucking route to the spot. Like, a lot of these shots were quite poor.
What's your predictions on Atalanta in terms of the Champions League?
Oh, they'll make the knockouts easy, like, but...
Yeah, what are we talking here? Are we talking sneaking in? Are we talking, like, top 16? Or are we talking, could they be a team that make it into the top 8 and automatically qualify? Like, whereabouts do you see them finishing?
I think about 18th.
18th. Will they finish above Celtic?
You know, crucially, they've played 2 home games and they've drew them both. I mean, that's...
Will they finish above Celtic?
I think they will.
Oh. There you go, guys.
We'll have to wait and see, though. I mean, seeing a 36-team league, man, you won't know until...
The last couple of games.
Aye. Celtic could finish, like... I mean, it depends. They've got a lot of games I think they could win. Celtic could finish top 10, or they could finish, like, scraping it in with 23rd or something.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, that is it. I mean, that Aston Villa game's going to be mental if it comes down to that.
Yeah.
People are saying it won't come down to that, right? But it could come down to that. It could come down to a case of all Celtic need to do is avoid a heavy defeat.
Yeah.
Because goal difference could be crucial.
I think the sad thing about it is, though, Villa have won the first 3 games.
So you think...
It looks like it'll be a dead game for Villa.
So therefore you think Celtic could maybe cause an upset?
Aye. Yeah, but then if Villa play like a weakened team, is it an upset? You know, it's a shame. But anyway, we'll leave it there.
We will leave it there, guys. That's it. You leave your likes and comments down below. We're aiming for 200 likes, so don't disappoint. Till next time. Peace.